Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Coach's Corner, live from Benchwarmers Restaurant and Delivery. I'm your host, Nate Mullins. I'm joined by my co-host this week, Connor Roush. How we doing, Connor?
Good, yourself?
Doing well. Also have the Wizard, Greg Kinn, on the ones and twos. And today, our special guest this week, joining us on the program, Mohawk head football coach, Eric Daniel.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for spending time with us this week, Coach.
Yep.
All right, the Coach's Corner brought to you by Xcaret Mexican Restaurant, Your Legacy Federal Credit Union, Drawn to the Surface Tattoo and Piercing Studio, as well as our friends here at Benchwarmers Restaurant and Delivery. All right, Coach. Boy, what an exciting season so far it's been for the Warriors. Now, when we sat down and talked with you before the season started back in August.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
it seems like high school football seasons go so fast, but then when you look back on the offseason, it's like, wow, yeah, that was quite a ways ago. But no, when we talked with you back in August, talked about some of your goals, some of the expectations for this team, and you tried to stay grounded. You really did a good job of trying to stay grounded with your expectations, but you also said, you saw a lot of potential with this group, and it's really shown itself on the field so far this year.
Yeah, sure. Well, it's easy to stay grounded when you went 2-8 the year before. I can assure you that. So, no, we were close last year multiple times.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how many games in a row we lost that were, a score and under, but it was quite a bit. And so at some point, you needed to get over that hump. We had a good off season.
Yeah.
A lot of buy-in from our kids. Kind of upped our expectations quite a bit in regards to like what you feel and what you see in the summer, and just that mesh and how the kids were interacting and getting after it. So we knew we were onto something a little bit. It was interesting to see that week one, and then it's been a fun journey for sure.
Yeah. So what do you think is there anything that you guys did differently in the offseason this year compared to last that maybe kind of contributed to this turnaround?
We focused on making it more player-led. So less me and the coaches getting on them and pick some really good leaders out, which we had and we're fortunate to. Kids respect their peers, maybe even more, and listen to their peers at that age more than even their coaches. So instead of us mushing guys, we wanted to set an example with our leaders, and your best players should be your hardest workers. That's a great quote. And I guarantee you, if you went to any school district in the area that's successful, their coach would say that. Our best players are some of our hardest workers for the most part. So that's something that we kind of focused on, and we put a lot of leadership and ownership on our guys, on our senior class, and they've done a nice job of holding themselves accountable, holding classes below them accountable, and leading from the front. Yeah,
and, I mean, it's really shown on the field this year. But, I mean, you guys are riding a 6-game winning streak. What's been the key in keeping this momentum? I mean, you guys got a lot of momentum coming off that week one loss, obviously tough loss, but you guys had a lot of positive things to draw from that week one game, and you've taken that and really, I mean, you've been rolling ever since.
Yeah, no, we told the kids, we played Calvert tough the year before and went 2-8.
Yeah.
So you can either decide that that's the best game of the season for you, and that's your climax, that's the best product you're going to deliver, or we can batten down the hatches and let's get better. And let's have great attitude and let's be coachable and let's get better together. So I pouted for a day after that. I felt sorry for myself on that Friday. And when we met on Friday afternoon, we linked up and we said, guys, we're getting over it together and we're going to move on. And it was the best thing. That game was the best thing to happen to our football team. We had a great team meeting after that where the kids, a lot of them were saying, like, this is the first time that in years it's felt like a team and we're playing for each other. And at that moment in that meeting, it's like, okay, we're on to something.
Wow.
You know, so
that's cool.
I didn't know what it would equate to in terms of wins and losses, but I knew when you play for each other and kids are playing for each other and they're getting after it together and there's no selfishness, there's no me. I knew we would be competitive in a lot of games and we'd be right there. And ultimately your leadership is what carries you from being competitive to getting over the hump to winning those close games and those big games. And that's what I've seen this year. So
yeah, you've got a lot of leadership on this team. Now, I haven't been there for the last couple weeks, but I've heard through the grapevine that there's been some injuries that have been affecting the team here and there, kind of guys in and out of the lineup. What do you do to kind of manage the balance? I mean, you got to keep them healthy, but you also got to keep them involved in the game plan because, I mean, they're still part of the game plan. What do you do to manage these injuries?
Yeah, no, it's been a little up and down in that regard, but maybe the difference in the years past, we've had injuries in years past, and it's been very detrimental to us, whereas we've had a lot of guys step up, and some of our best players have been out. And our message to our guys was you don't replace him with one guy.
That's right.
Everybody just needs to do a little bit more, and we need a little bit more vocal leadership. We need a little bit more, intensity and effort every play. And then supporting the guys that are going in for them. And ultimately that's what's happened. And our seniors have helped weather the storm, and our young guys have stepped up, and we've continued to kind of keep rolling while we can hopefully get healthier and healthier as we get closer to the playoffs.
Absolutely, Coach. That's the goal. All right, Connor, you got a few questions for Coach here?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, looking through stats and stuff for this season, it's not really heavy on just the senior class. Like, going through, you've got leaders from that sophomore group, from that junior group, and feeding off, and that's got to be exciting for you, knowing these younger kids playing the way they are, that you can expect this and even go higher from past this season.
Yeah, no, our JV's, I think, 6-1. So they've done a really nice job, and our JV coaches have done a nice job coaching those kids up and getting them some time on the field, and they're very competitive. But on top of that, we got a couple sophomores that are playing in a big way. Annan Klaus and Caden Bish are, in my opinion, two of our studs, especially for sophomores. They don't play like sophomores for sure. And we've got a great junior class that has really blossomed. They weren't great in junior high, but they've got some workers in it. And, I'm a big believer in junior high does not dictate your high school success.
No.
We see it. You see it all the time in midget league. A stud in midget league, a lot of times kids go around them, or they get complacent, and everything's easy. So I love classes like that where it's tough for you. It was tough for them in junior high. They struggled to get wins and stuff. But over time, they had a little bit more success. They got in the weight room. They did our speed camp stuff. And it started to click. And I attribute a lot of that to the senior class showing them the way a little bit. And now that junior class is having a lot of success, and they're feeding off it. They're buying into it. They're supporting the leadership, and they've became really good leaders in of themselves. So
you mentioned that about guys, maybe not having the best start in junior high. A lot of times you'll see that some of those kids that excel, off just raw talent at the younger levels, at the lower levels, they get kind of burnt out on the game later on. Yep. It's just not it doesn't come as easily to them. Whereas some of these guys who've had to learn the hard way and had to go through the rigors of what it means to earn your starting spot, earn your way onto the team, by the time they get up freshman, sophomore, junior year, they are key contributors on these teams. Yep. And they've grown so much just from having to go through that. Yep. It's key. It really is. So talking about that, who are some of the guys that kind of stepped up the most this season when you guys really needed it?
Yeah, well, I could think of a couple, but a couple of those sophomores that we just listed they're two-way starters, and they're not only contributing, but they're one's a middle linebacker, one's an outside backer, one has 10 TFLs, the other one's second or third on the team in tackles, so they've stepped up in a big way. Our juniors, we got Owen Patrizzi, he's I think top 4 or 5 in the league. I got him listed at 5'9". You guys called me on my bologna sandwich there. He's a little shorter than 5'9". I like to give the guy some. So,
absolutely. I mean, you got to give him a little bit.
He's small but mighty, man.
Absolutely. That kid gets after it.
He ain't scared of nobody.
No, he doesn't back down.
And there is no excuse for anybody else. When you watch that kid getting after it as a middle linebacker, it's like, if he's doing it, I got to do it.
Right.
And so he's been a huge one. Braxton Frisch, we moved from middle linebacker to nose. He's been an absolute stud for us. And
I love Braxton.
He's a great young man.
He's such a great kid.
How can you not? He's got the best smile in the world. But you moved him, and just the epitome of kids that we have in this group, it's like we're trying to find a spot for you, dude, because we know what you are and you're a great player. But middle linebacker we kind of had set and taken care of. So it's like, do you want to get on the field? Absolutely. Just put me in. And that was his mentality. So he took it and run with it, and he's done a great job. So, but those seniors, Garrett Reinhardt behind closed doors has stepped up in a huge way in terms of leadership and just offensive line play. Brady Kaufman's he's one of our tackles. He's gotten better every week. I can't believe the jump. Braxton Jenkins is our right guard. I would have never guessed in a million years he'd be starting for us, and he's unbelievable. And so I give a lot of credit to Coach Trusty, who we brought on this year. He coached me in high school, and he's brought a toughness back to Mohawk football and that old school mentality. He's done just an amazing job of getting our offensive line play where it needs to be. So I would say they've made the biggest jump, in my opinion, up front. It's been night and day. So
that's where we talked about that at the beginning of the year, Coach. We said that's where you guys really had to improve the most, is in the trenches. Yep. You guys had to win up front on both sides of the ball. And I've seen results. We've seen the results throughout the year. You guys have been winning in the trenches where it matters the most. It's funny you mentioned that about Braxton playing nose tackle. He used to beg us to play nose tackle. He wanted to be a bear crawler because in our defense we had all fours, so guys were on all fours. And when he came up to me after the one game, he's like, "Yeah, I'm a bear crawler now, Coach. What do you think about that?"
That's awesome.
That's so cool. All right, we're going to step aside, take a quick timeout. When we come back, we'll have more of the breakdown with this Mohawk Warriors head football coach, Eric Daniel. We're going to talk about this Upper Sandusky matchup this Friday. It'll be coming to you live here on Heart of Ohio Sports. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. You're watching the Coach's Corner right here on Heart of Ohio Sports. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Heart of Ohio Sports.
At Heart of Ohio Sports, it's obvious. The first thing that comes to mind is sports. But we do a lot more than just cover live sporting events.
Go, go, go!
When we want to watch our highlights from last night's game, there's only one place we go. Heart of Ohio Sports. Connect fans to the action like no one else can. As a business in today's market, you got to stay ahead of the game. And what better way than to get on board with the fastest growing brand in media today? I mean, you can take it from me, but you can just listen to them. When recruiters want to see our game film, we tell them they can watch on Heart of Ohio Sports.
Welcome to Your Legacy Federal Credit Union, your trusted community credit union for over 70 years. We're not just a credit union, we're your personal financial counselor. Your Legacy Federal Credit Union is a full-service financial institution tailoring solutions to your needs. Whether it's your first home or planning for the future, we're here to help you find success. Your Legacy Federal Credit Union, a legacy built on trust, commitment, and community.
Your legacy.
Heart of Ohio Sports gives fans the access they want when they want it. And the athletes get the coverage they deserve. Our broadcasts are free and they always will be. We don't hide behind a paywall. When my family can't come to the games, they always watch on Heart of Ohio Sports. Heart of Ohio Sports is owned by Mullins Entertainment and located inside Studio Squared in downtown Tiffin. The space features a state-of-the-art podcast studio, open for public use. Building a platform for creators is one of our top priorities.
Stop down to Benchwarmers in Tiffin or call it in for delivery. Fresh cut fries, locally sourced ingredients, and phenomenal service. Give the Tiffin store a call at 567-268-9268 and place your delivery order now. Benchwarmers Restaurant and Delivery. You're locked in to the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. Heart of Ohio Sports. Welcome back to the Coach's Corner, live here at Benchwarmers Restaurant and Delivery. Nate Mullins here with Connor Roush, Greg Kinn, and our friend Eric Daniel, Mohawk Warriors head football coach, joining us this week on the Coach's Corner. Once again, presented by our friends at Xcaret Mexican Restaurant, Your Legacy Federal Credit Union, Drawn to the Surface Tattoo and Piercing Studio, as well as Benchwarmers Restaurant and Delivery. Folks, we're out here at Benchwarmers, but hey, you could be enjoying the great food here as well. Call your order in now. They'll pick it up, deliver, or hey, come on out here and join us. There's a little bit of room out here on the patio. Come join us here at Benchwarmers Restaurant and Delivery. Coach, let's talk more football. Let's talk about this game. So we got a big game coming up this weekend. We'll be there for the Upper Sandusky game. Now, talk about this. You got 3 really crucial games coming up.
Yes, sir.
Obviously, you got Upper Sandusky and Cary at home these next 2 weeks. Then you got the rivalry game with Seneca East, week 10. We'll be there for all 3 games, Coach.
Nice.
So that's why we wanted to get you on this week. We wanted to get set for these 3 crucial matchups. You know, we kind of saw this on the horizon. This N10, just the way everything was going to settle out back when we were making the schedules way back in July. I said, man, these are some games. We got to be at these games. Like, these are 3 games that we absolutely need to be at. And how do you prepare when you have this kind of a stretch coming up? Obviously, every game's important. You go one game at a time. But how do you prepare your guys so that they aren't looking ahead?
Sure. Well, we treated it like a 10-week journey, and our kids have really adopted that. We haven't focused a whole lot on who we're playing outside of week 1. Honestly, I felt like I put a lot of pressure on our kids for week 1. It was almost my mistake. And we were kind of forcing some stuff, and you could see guys just kind of playing outside of themselves instead of within themselves. So
I seen you had a Calvert countdown clock in your locker room, too.
Yep. That's a big game for us, man. It's and it's something our kids circle on their calendar.
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely.
And we love that, but at the same time, it's like sometimes you play tense then, and sometimes you practice tense, and it's just you can't play that way. So our focus has been 1 week at a time. We don't really care who we're playing. We're focused on us. Let's get better. I mean, certainly we respect our opponents and we acknowledge them, you know. And in regards to Upper, I had another coach tell me, we were talking, and they're a very dangerous team. And it's like, you're 100% right. They will play with anybody.
Yeah.
And they can beat anybody in our league. And, you know, you watch them play Seneca East. They lost by 7. They got within the red zone multiple times, fumbled on the 1 going in, threw a pick on the 8. So I say, you know, I don't know what the yardage totals were, but I would bet you money that they outgained Seneca East or we're right there. So they could play with anybody. And Seneca East is a dang good football team.
Yeah.
So they're big up front, substantially bigger than we are. They've got athletes on the perimeter, and their quarterback has gotten better every week. And you could see it from week 1. It's like to week 7, week 8, it's a totally different kid. I mean, he's a really nice player. So, and their running back is, I think he's 3rd or 4th in the league in rushing. I mean, he looks like a goddamn rhino out there. I mean, he's 195 pounds and is an absolute battering ram. So he likes to get north-south, and we got to slow him down as well.
Yeah. And their quarterback had some big shoes to fill. You talk about, you know, Caden Holman's probably one of the premier athletes in this area.
Unbelievable.
And for this young man to have to step into those shoes and fill that shadow, I mean, he's done an admirable job this year. He's really kind of stepped up, and you could argue that they've pretty much – I mean, it's pretty much the same team. Like,
I think
as
they're
far
better
as talent-wise,
I think they're better in the trenches than last year. Athletically, they're very similar. Obviously, the Holman kid's an X factor.
Yeah.
But this kid doesn't try to play like Holman did. He's not, and they don't put him in that situation. They don't run him as much. You know, they give it to the Lewis kid a lot more, and they do some RPOs and stuff with him. And he does a nice job scrambling around to buy time and stuff, but he's not necessarily the runner but he's a great passer. He's got great touch on the ball and stuff. So, yeah, but I do think overall they're better than they were last year.
Absolutely. I think so, too. When you look at – obviously, you can look at stats. Everybody looks at the stats, the box score, but when you look on film and the way they're keeping these games close with some of these tough teams, that has to show you something about that team and their resolve.
Yeah, well, you know, you look at their record, and it's easy to be like, oh, well, guess what? You play Cary, Gallion Northmore, and Gallion, and you come talk to me.
Exactly.
You know, I mean – They've played some hammers, so it's important to acknowledge that as well. And like I said, Seneca East is a dang good football team too. So they haven't lost to teams that are, you know, lesser than them or anything like that. They've got in there and battled, and like I said, they can beat anybody, including us, and we need to understand that.
Connor, you got some more questions here.
Well, what seems to be the theme for the N10 is no matter what you do in your non-conference games, once you get into conference play, it's like you're playing each other at it's the first game where you're 10-0 against each other.
Yeah.
It's always a hard-fought battle,
Yeah.
and you can just throw those records right out of the equation because you know that regardless, each team are going to want to rip each other's heads off.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, that Winford game, it was closer than what the score reflects.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest. I mean, it was nip and tuck there in the second half. It was 24-13 there, and they had the ball. And so in the fourth quarter, we got to stop. And then my favorite drives of the entire year have been Crawford and Winford, where we go down and we finish with a score in the fourth quarter when teams are selling out to stop us. So
Yeah.
that was a really good, what we call character drive. And it's like, that's what we do, guys. We are, that's a mental toughness thing. We finish people. That's what we want our guys up front to have, that mentality. So, but yeah, overall, the N10, anybody can beat anybody. I mean, you look at these like top 5 or 6 teams, I haven't slept very well the last couple of weeks, and I only anticipate that getting worse. So, yeah, I used to be able to sleep in. Now I'm up at 5 in the morning and thinking about this crap.
Yeah. So looking down through here, obviously you guys are sitting up top, and you got Colonel, Senke East, and Cary all sitting at 3-1, just chomping at the bit. Now you got the big game of Cary and Crawford this weekend. Really, I think depending how that game goes is how that game will be next week for you guys against Cary.
Sure.
Are you going to have a Cary team that just suffered a second loss in conference and just want nothing but play spoiler for you guys and get that first loss? Or are you going to have a Cary team who won and is like, hey, listen, we're not going to have someone else take our league that we've had for the past 3 or 4 years?
Sure. Well, they're top dog until somebody knocks them off.
That's right.
And they're not out yet. I can assure you of that. John does a great job over there, and their kids play incredibly hard. Always do. I mean, you guys have went to a couple of their games. It's just smash mouth football is an understatement.
Yeah.
So death taxes and them having a 240-pound running back that's going to knock your block off. It's like, it's absurd. So not looking ahead whatsoever, but we know what that game's going to look like.
Yeah.
We're going to have to buckle up, strap up, and get after it because, like I said, they're extremely physical, well coached, and they get after it. So
I feel like that's kind of a common theme, though, for the conference is you can go in and each team has their different ways, but you prepare kind of in the same way just for how similar each team is.
very physical, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, very physical.
Strap up.
You got it. Winford's. I don't know. Is Winford 1-6?
Yeah.
You would
Yeah.
never guess
Yep.
that when we played them. It's just like, holy, this is not a 1-6 team. There's no
Yeah,
way.
they don't play like it.
No, they're just downhill, and it's just like, how is this team 1-6? And we're going through that. It's like every week there's pads cracking.
Well, and I mean, Coach, that's probably how a lot of teams felt about you guys last year.
Yeah.
How, like towards the end of the year, I kept sitting there going, how are they 1-7? How are they,
Yeah.
there was a point when you guys were playing so tough. You're playing so hard, and that's kind of, it's the N10, man.
You got it.
Like, it's
Yep.
just a gauntlet. It's a meat grinder, and just inches separate
You got it.
contenders.
Yep.
Really.
100%
I mean, that's
right.
really what it comes down to. So, all right. Obviously, this is a big game, but they're all big games.
Yep.
What's the key for this week? I mean, what's something that you guys got to focus on this week against the Rams?
Yeah.
Defensively, let's talk about it. Defensively.
Biggest thing is like in terms of getting that quarterback off his spot a little bit. He's a very accurate thrower, does a great job, and the receivers are excellent route runners. They got some speed on the outside. That it's hard to replicate that in practice.
Yeah.
They do a great job with RPOs that we haven't seen a lot of that this year. So it's not that he's necessarily reading it, but he pulls it, and they're running, a power play or whatever, sucks your linebackers up, exposes you in the secondary a little bit.
Yeah.
So being sound, reading our keys and stuff, and you have to honor it because their running game's very good. They're very patient this year. They'll smack you in the face and run inside zone or some gap scheme 8 times in a row, and they didn't necessarily do that as much in the years past. And they didn't have to with that Holman kid.
Right.
So they're much more balanced this year. They're like 55-45, somewhere around there, which makes them harder to defend. So we've got to be balanced as well. We'd like to slow down their rushing attack. That'd be great. Like I said, that Rhino or that kid's an absolute stud. I mean that as a big of a compliment as I can. That kid's a bad dude. So it's hard.
He runs with bad intentions.
He does. He does, man. He does. Go treat yourself and watch. I don't know if you guys can pull it up, but the Seneca East Upper game. It's like, my God, he's straight trucking people.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't want to be in front of that. Not at my age. So we got to slow him down and try to make him as one-dimensional as we can. Get him behind the sticks, win first down, that type of thing. And then just being sound, get to the football. One guy ain't taking that kid down. So you got to get hats to the ball when you identify who's got the ball and have good leverage. So
what about offensively? Let's talk about your approach this week offensively. Obviously, I'm not going to ask you about your game plan, but what do you think you guys have to be successful at this week in order to be on the winning side?
Yeah, so we've been pretty balanced this year for the most part. When we want to run the ball, we can run the ball. And when we want to throw the ball, we can throw the ball. And you can use one to set up the other, which is really great. So we like to run the ball if we can, And so I think just being able to establish the line of scrimmage like we did last week and take care of what we can in the trenches. But also, there's something to be said about having some balance. You can't hand the ball off to one kid 35, 40 times a game in today's game. It's incredibly tough.
Yeah.
So you have to be balanced and be able to spread your athletes out and attack them where their weakness or where they're weakest at and where our leverage is best. And, they load up the box, we got to be able to throw it. If they vacate the box, we got to be able to run it, that type of thing. So
position group-wise, what do you think is the best matchup we got to keep our eyes on this week?
They're so dang big in the trenches. They're huge. You'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what they list those linemen at, but they've got a couple absolute monsters up front. So we got to use our quickness. We have to use our leverage in our hands up front. Skill guys-wise, I think we match up tremendously well with each other. And what I mean by that is I think we're very even. So I think that'll be a really good battle as well. But, yeah, I think it's going to come down to, honestly, in my opinion, we've told our kids all week, anticipate a one-score game. And I am not joking when I say that. I think it's going to be a really good football game. Team that's more disciplined. Yeah, I think you guys are. It's going to be a good football game. It's going to come down to, a final drive type of deal. And we need to be disciplined in the fourth quarter. We need to have our conditioning and our focus ready to go. And I think ultimately that'll decide the game.
Yeah, 100%. All right, Connor, you got any more questions for Coach here?
Probably keep it. Don't want to get too far ahead of myself into postseason.
Yeah,
talk
I
yet,
know.
So
I wanted to be like, hey, have you looked at the positioning lately? And that's not coach talk.
I guess the only thing I'll say is this region this year for you guys, there's a lot of tough teams in this region. So you think playing in the N10 will really help you prepare into when you get into Week 11?
Sure. The BVC we're blessed to have them in our region, which is great. I'm saying that sarcastically. Macomb, Lipsick, Pandora, all those teams, they're hammers every year. They do a great job. They're well coached. And then you got Lima Central and Columbus Groves, probably the top one or two teams in the state, them and local, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They're on another level. So we know who's in our region for sure. And my goal is to get through these next couple of games, be healthy, be competitive, put our best foot forward, and we'll go wherever we need to go, and we'll play whoever we need to play. With this group, we'll play anybody. Truly mean that. We're not scared of anybody. We'll go and play whoever's on the schedule with the intent to win. So, but like I said, that's a ways down the road for us.
Yeah.
Really trying to take it 1 week at a time, and I know that's coach speak, but when you've got a team like Upper and then obviously the next couple teams after that, it's hard to look past that. My God.
It is.
We're in for the longest and the hardest stretch of the year. So
Yeah, and that's kind of why I wanted to sit down and have this conversation with you, because I knew this was the tough stretch. This was the stretch of games where you're going to need your focus. I mean, obviously every game's important, like we said, but, I mean, this is a game with Cary and Seneca East coming up next. How do you keep this from becoming a trap game? Obviously, you've told these guys all week, expect this to be a one-score game. You've told your guys, you got to be tough, you got to be mentally tough. But how do you keep these kids from looking at records, looking at stats, and just how do you keep them focused?
all we had to do was show them the film.
Yeah.
That's like truly, it's like, hey, guys, if you don't believe us, here, let's show you. And when you don't look at a record and you just look at Upper and you watch them on film, it's like, holy spit, man.
Yeah.
They're a good football team. It's you're not hiding anything from them, and they're not one-dimensional, which makes it tough, man. So that's what we did is we just showed them the film, and they know real quick. You can look at teams and know what's a legit team look like, what's a well-coached team look like, and they know what they're doing. They're disciplined. They're very sound defensively. Points are going to be hard to come by. We know that. So it's like I said, we're in for a tough matchup this week. We know it, and our kids know it.
100%, Coach. All right, any message for Warrior Nation this Friday?
No, we appreciate you guys and all you guys do and the coverage, and you guys do a great job. Truly mean that. I told you that off the air, but it's good to hear it on the air as well.
Appreciate that.
We do mean it, and our fans have been incredible. Even down years like last year, we've had so many people. You know, we play Crawford, and there's a gazillion people there coming up to us, and we call those our day oneers. You know, they've been with us through the good times and the bad. Yeah. So we really appreciate all the guys and families that come out and support us.
If only you had about 50,000 tacos, though, right?
There you go.
He's the guy that
guy is,
you can hear him across the field, man.
He's one of our day oneers, man. That guy is he's an OG, man. He's awesome.
He's
I love
great.
him.
I love him.
You got to have him on here.
Oh, absolutely, for sure. Hey, there's an open invite next time we have a Mohawk coach on. We can have him on well. All right, Coach. Any other final thoughts before we let you go?
Nope. Thank you. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for the coverage, and we'll see you Friday.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Thanks again. Appreciate your time, Coach.
Thanks, Connor.
Yep.
Thank you.
Once again, Mohawk football coach Eric Daniel joining us this week on the Coach's Corner, live here from Benchwarmers Restaurant and Delivery. Tune in this Friday as we've got Seneca East. I'm sorry, no, we don't have Seneca East. We have Mohawk versus Upper Sandusky, and we have Calvert versus Woodmore. So the Calvert-Woodmore game will be on the X stream this week. That's right, folks. You can find that one exclusively on YouTube, as we'll be carrying the Mohawk Upper Sandusky game right here on the main channel. That's on YouTube as well as Facebook and Twitch. And you can find both of those games on heartofohiosports.com. Click on the Watch Live tab, and that'll broadcast both games. So what I always tell people is pull one game up on YouTube on your smart TV, and then pull the other game up on your phone, and you can watch both games at the same time. There you go, folks. All right, well, that's going to do it for us today. Once again, I want to thank our special guest, Eric Daniel, for joining us on the program.
Appreciate you guys.
And thanks to Greg the Wizard Kin for keeping us on the air. Thanks to my buddy Connor Roush for joining me on the program this week. Thanks to all of you for tuning in right here on the Coach's Corner. Once again, brought to you by your Legacy Federal Credit Union, Xcaret Mexican Restaurant, Drawn to the Surface Tattoo and Piercing Studio, as well as our friends here at Benchwarmers. Have a great night, everybody. That's going to do it. You've been watching Heart of Ohio Sports.
My Berea, don't you know I've thought about you all day? Yeah, I've been longing for some beef and some consomme. Sweet Berea, this is surely going to my thighs. Well, I'm a hungry eater and you surely caught my eyes. My Berea, I love you so. Oh, my Berea, Berea, I love you so. I love you. How's it going, sports fans? It's game day, and the food is hot here at Xcaret Mexican Restaurant. Before you settle in to watch the game, whether you're by yourself trying to figure out what you want for dinner, trying to figure out how to feed a bunch of people, why not consider some delicious grub from Xcaret Mexican Restaurant? Today, we're highlighting the birria ramen. That's right, I'll say it again. Birria ramen. Oh my goodness, I think I just got my mic wet. How do you birria? I have to have a lime. And you're gonna get the best, juiciest limes right here at Xcaret Mexican Restaurant. Look at all that juice. So here we have the birria ramen. Oh, this looks so good. I'm digging in. I can't look at it anymore. All right, here we go. That should not be allowed to be that good. My goodness. Folks, get on over here. Get yourself some of this birria ramen. Let them know you heard about it on Heart of Ohio Sports. Why are you still watching me eat? You could be eating this right now. Don't you just want to dig in? I could eat this whole bowl right now. And I'm going to. But I'm not going to make you watch me do it. Tell you what. Call in your order. Xcaret Mexican Restaurant, birria ramen,
The only place you're going to find this in town, folks. I'm telling you. This is a home run right here. Get it. Get it. Get it. Get it. Xcaret Mexican Restaurant. Whether you're a diehard fan rooting for the home team or you're just looking for some tasty eats for your game day treats, the birria ramen is our featured item here on this game day grub segment, and you're going to want to call in your order now. That's right, call Xcaret Mexican Restaurant. Mention you saw this segment on our broadcast. You'll get 15% off your order. Take advantage of this birria ramen special at Xcaret Mexican Restaurant. Oh, and don't forget the queso.